Ever wonder what to get your mom for Mother's Day? This week we're talking gifts and ideas to make Mother's Day special.
I'm also going to show you this set that was inspired by my mama.
We are going to talk about some things that you can do for your mom that are a little bit outside of the usual.
I'm going to paint a dresser and a nightstand and put a transfer on this dresser. But first I need to get the stickers off. So I'm having another epic battle royale with stickers. I tried lemon oil and it didn't work.
Number one, like everybody gets your mom flowers, right? You can get a ready-made bouquet that they already have set out. A lot of mom and pop flower shops do this. You go in and there's ready-made bouquets. You pick one of those up and then you ask if you can add in a couple of special flowers to it for an additional cost, and then they will tuck them in and you will end up having what is a custom bouquet out of something ready-made.
After I tried the lemon oil and a paper towel, I decided I would try a scraper. And the scraper this one was a little bit too thick, so I went in with a thinner scraper after this to see if I could get the stickers to come off. It didn't work. So I've decided to go back to my tried and true method and use the heat gun, but I don't want to burn myself with the knobs because the knobs can warm up from the heat gun. So I removed all of them first, and I'm just showing you all of the stickers I have to remove. If I were to give a review on the stickers, I would 100% say that the Disney princess stickers have really good adhesion and are very difficult to remove. Those are some high quality stickers, so you are definitely paying for the price of those stickers. I know they're expensive. I know you've seen me battle with stickers in other videos, but this is how you're supposed to remove a sticker. Look at that. You just kind of warm it up and it slides right off. That's how it's supposed to work. Another tip is if you're going to do breakfast or brunch for your mom, name it. Like, call it Mother's Day Special, or make up like it's a fake restaurant and serve her breakfast. Make a sign, put some effort into it, and make it really special and wonderful, and I guarantee you she will love it.
We would do this thing called El Patio Cafe. We would clear off the patio from all of our toys and junk that we would have, sweep it, clean it up, we would decorate it. We would bring in live plants that we would then have to plant afterwards because my mom did not like cut flowers. And we would serve breakfast. It turned into like a big thing. The whole family would come over. So I'd be cooking for hours and hours and hours. And there were a couple of Mother's Day when there wasn't any, food left over for me. So I was a salty teenager about it sometimes, but it was a good memory. And now that my mom has passed, what I wouldn't give to have one more El Patio Cafe with my mom where I can serve her breakfast. Like, oh, I miss my mom. I love you, Mom.
I've got all the stickers removed now, and I'm going to scrub the dresser and the nightstand really well, and then I'm going to rinse it off. There's a little bit of a gummy residue left on the dresser and the nightstand from the stickers that I removed, so I'm doing a light sand with 220 grit sandpaper to remove that residue. As you can see, there's quite a few stickers that I removed from the dresser, so I'm just cleaning them all up before I get ready to paint.
Tip number 2, if your mom is like my mom and she doesn't like cut flowers, don't give her cut flowers, obviously. Plant her some flowers, why not? Have you ever heard of guerrilla gardening? If you just Google it, you can find guerrilla gardening online, and they have clubs all over the US, and you can just go in, donate some flowers, plant something, and make a little bit of beauty in your local city. I've done some guerrilla gardening in my time, especially during lockdown. That's like a fun one. It brings a little bit of light and beauty to their life, so you can't necessarily like hug and see them, especially if they're sick, but you can bring a little bit of beauty to their home. For me, it was a lot of fun. Me and my sister, we went out and we had all of these plants in the back seat of my car, and we had some shovels. We pulled up to everybody's house. We jumped out. We dug a hole in their planter. You just plant the flower or the plant for them, cover it up, ring the doorbell, and you jet. We got so many phone calls like, what are you guys doing? Are you crazy? But, somehow all of the plants that we planted lived.
Back to the dresser inspired by my mom, I chose Powdered Snow by Chalky Chicks. It's a really bright white. I know you guys can't see the white paint going on because the dresser is already white, but there's some areas where it's been sanded and there's some little nicks and stuff, and I'm just cleaning it up really quickly and giving it a quick spray. I am going to do 2 coats of paint just to make sure that I get really good coverage on the dresser and the nightstand. In between my coats of paint, I'm doing a light sand with 220 grit sandpaper to make sure I have a very smooth finish at the end. Now that the dresser and the nightstand have been sanded, I'm putting the second coat of paint on, and I'm feeling very cool at this moment. I'm spraying like Salvaged by Kay Scott, and I think I'm going to have a really good finish on this piece at the end.
Another thing you can do if your mom has everything in the world, she doesn't want anything else, you know, make some memories with her. We took my mom on adventures, and she wanted to go see a drag show. So we took her to a drag show, and she got like dressed up. She pulled out her 1950s little like hairpiece, and I knew it was a big deal. That she had the best time. She had squirreled away all these little dollar bills, and she was waving dollar bills and giving dollar bills to the drag queens. The performers were coming up, and she's tucking dollar bills into their costumes, and they actually gave her the microphone, and she said, this has been a lifelong dream of mine to go to a drag show, and I was always afraid to do it. And I think that you're all like beautiful and wonderful, and it was amazing. Actually, they were all like hugging and loving on her, and she was just lit up. And I think this was like a year or 2, maybe 2 years before she died. And it was like such a beautiful memory.
Prior to putting the transfer on the dresser, I'm going to clear coat everything.
If your mom has furniture that she doesn't like, that's beat up, she wants something new, and you don't have a lot of money, redo a piece of her furniture like this one back here that I'm going to show you later.
So now that my clear coat is dried, I have chosen the transfer Lovely Script by Redesigned by Prima, and the piece you see me holding up there is the middle piece. The transfer comes in 3 pieces, and the instructions said to start at the middle and work your way out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm lining it up in the middle of the dresser, and I'm going to tape it down and then start working on it. You want to make sure that you have trimmed right up to the edge of your transfer, so that way you don't get any ghosting effect later. Now I'm using the little wooden stick to rub the transfer onto the dresser, and it is releasing it from the backer paper that it is on. There's this thing called riding the wave, where when you start to rub with the little stick, the transfer will release quickly, but you want to make sure that you have rubbed the entire transfer onto your dresser, so that way when you remove the backer paper, you have better adhesion of the transfer onto your piece of furniture. I want to make sure that I have a really good adhesion of my transfer onto my dresser. Since the drawers are not flat, I'm using a razor blade, and I'm slicing around the edge of the dresser drawers to make sure that when I rub the transfer that it adheres really, really nicely, and it has a nice flat look to it. Here's a different shot of what I'm doing, so you can see how the dresser drawer fronts stick out a little bit, and I'm just slicing right there along the edge. The good thing about the transfers is that they have there's like a grid on them, so you can follow along with the grid and get like really nice straight cuts. Now you can see I'm removing the backer paper, and everything's coming off nicely, and my transfer looks really, really smooth on the dresser. So the middle piece is on, and I'm working on the left and right pieces of the transfer now, and I've already trimmed them to fit the dresser, and I'm just rubbing along with the wooden stick again to get the transfer to adhere, and it's starting to look really, really good. Here's the last piece of the transfer going onto the dresser. And it's all done. I think my mom would be really happy with it. Instructions on the packaging said to burnish the transfer with a paper towel once it's onto your piece of furniture to make sure that all of the edges of the transfer are like adhered nice and tight, and you won't have any rolling or lifting later. Now that I have the burnishing done, I am going to give the entire dresser another coat of clear coat. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Urban Legends Antiques. And if you'd like to buy this paint to do a project of your own, I have a website that you can purchase from, www.urbanlegendsantiques.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you can see more of my videos. So I got the knobs on the dresser, and let me tell you, it is gorgeous. I think my mom would have loved this dresser and nightstand. I wish I could have given her something like this while she was alive, but sadly she's not. Let me know in the comments below, would your mom like something like this? Also, stay tuned. I have my favorite Mother's Day memory from my mom. I'm Jessie from Urban Legends Antiques, and thanks for coming along for the ride.
My favorite Mother's Day memory was the year a policeman dropped me off at the house. So I was 18, 19. I had barely moved out of the house, and I was driving over to my parents' house for Mother's Day. We were going to have breakfast together, and my car broke down on the freeway. And I had a 1978 Mustang 2 Ghia, and I thought I was the coolest thing ever because it was the same year that I was born. So I was like, this car is 18 years old, this car is so cool, this car is a Mustang, blah, blah, blah. The car was breaking down all the time because I couldn't afford to fix it. So it was always breaking down somewhere, and then my dad would have to come and get it and haul me wherever I was at. So of course, on Mother's Day, I think it's like 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock. I don't even think it was 8. It was super early because my mom wanted to have breakfast early and then spend the whole day together. I'm driving to my mom's house, and car breaks down on the side of the freeway. So I get out, and I'm like kind of climbing underneath it. Like sometimes I can fix it or get it to restart if I like kind of bang around on something in there. And I couldn't get it to work this time. So a policeman pulls up, and I hear him on his speaker. "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh." I kind of jump out, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, my car broke down. Am I in trouble?" And he's like, "Your legs are sticking out on the road." And I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize I was laying with my legs in the road. I was so tired, and I was so panicked just trying to get to my mom for Mother's Day. I knew she was going to be so mad at me if I didn't get there. So I'm like, I'm sorry. And he gets out of the car, and he comes over, and he's kind of looking at me, and he's talking to me. And this is before cell phones. Cell phones were not popular. They were not prevalent. Like the few people that had a cell phone at this time were rich, and I was not rich. And he said, "Okay, you're going to come with me." And I was so scared. I thought I was being arrested. And I was like, "Well, what am I going to do with my car? I can't leave my car here." And he's like, "Do you think your mom would like it if you were just left on the side of the road on Mother's Day?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna take you home." He's like, "You're gonna get in my car." And he's in his police cruiser. And I was like, am I getting in the back seat? And he goes, "No, you're gonna sit in the front with me." And I said, "I'm sitting in the front. Where am I sitting in the front?" And he's like, "You're gonna sit in the passenger seat." And I don't wanna sit next to him. I'm scared of him. And he goes, "How do you think your mom would like it if you got out of the backseat of a police cruiser on Mother's Day?" He's like, "Do you want to be handcuffed as well?" And the vision of it and like the horror, it must have been on my face. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. No. So he says, "Okay, get in the front seat. We're going to go." I get in the front seat, and there's all of this cool police gadgety stuff everywhere. And he's like, "Don't touch anything." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "What's that girl? That girl?" But this is how I was at my hands and my armpits. "Okay, I'm not touching anything." And we go to my parents' house, which is, it's about 2 or 3 miles from where my car broke down at. And he's like, "Which house is yours?" And I say, "That one." And I point to one across the street. That's my mom and dad's house. I'll just get out here. And he goes, "Oh, no. He's like, I'll just drop you off at the front of the house." And he proceeds to turn his police lights on, makes this big old huge U-turn in the middle of the road. And I'm like, at this point, horrified, bright red face. I think I'm even going like this, just like, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm dropping you off." And I realized later as an adult, he was having fun with me, but as a selfish teenager, I was horrified, mortified, just wanting to get this ordeal over with. And he pulls around, lights are still all flashing. He doesn't have his sirens on, but all the lights are going off. And I open the door and I'm like, thank you, officer. And I bolt out, hoping my mom doesn't see me. I shut the door, he takes off, my mom comes running out. What have you done? What have you done? And I was like, nothing. I didn't do anything. And she's like, what did you do now? What did you do? And I was like, I didn't do anything. I'm here for Mother's Day. And she's like, why are you in a police car? What did you do? And I was like, my car broke down. Where is your car? Where is your car that it broke down, that a policeman had to come and get you? And I was like, I had to explain the whole story. My dad is cracking up. He's laughing his hiney off. All right, let's go get your car, Jess, blah, 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 blah. And my mom's like, it's a good thing you didn't ruin Mother's Day.